Good evening and welcome to the second edition of the Click Open Email Marketing Webinar Series. In today's session, we shall cover the art of e-commerce hypergrowth with email marketing. Before we get started, here are a few housekeeping notes. You are on listen-only mode. The seminar is being recorded and will be made available to you in a couple of days. Feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box and we will address them shortly. Joining us today is Chase Diamond, who is a partner at Boundless Labs, a top e-commerce email marketing agency that has helped their clients send over 1 billion emails, resulting in over $75 million in email attributable revenue. We also have with us Titus Thomas, the host for today's session, who is the head of tech partnerships at WebEngage. Titus is adept at helping companies drive great results and revenues through effective email marketing campaigns. With this, let's get started. I shall now welcome Titus Thomas to take over.
Hey, hi, Chase. Thanks for being here. Welcome to our webinar. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. So today's topic is about hypergrowth with email marketing. So we have Chase Diamond here. He has worked with many companies like the Chive, CrossNet, and have helped close to around $75 million USD revenue from email marketing. So in this webinar, we would be covering about how to create segments, how to create smart segments, and a few frameworks around e-commerce vertical, right? So the next slide. Yes. So this is one of my go-to quote, right? So you can't just open a website and expect the traffic to flow in, right? So the key here is you need to build the right framework, the right segment and the strategies in order to get the success for your traffic. So we here are going to talk more about email marketing on how to bring more traffic to your website. So Chase, if someone says like email marketing is dead, what would be your reply?
Yeah, man, I don't know why people say that so much. Email marketing very much is alive. It's definitely thriving. We're sending, hundreds of millions of emails every quarter for our clients. We're driving tens of millions of dollars every quarter for our clients. Email for most of our brands attributes to at least 20 to 30% of their overall revenue. So it's very significant and it's very powerful. So, the proof is in the pudding. We do it day in and day out for our clients. You guys obviously know a thing or two about email as well. And email absolutely is not dead. It's more alive than ever.
So in this session, we are going to see how to fix the essentials, which is going to cover about setting up your ESP and how to create a smart segment. These two sessions will be covered by me and followed by how to build the framework, which is intelligent campaign, and how to test and optimize the campaign. Right. So the first topic is fix the essentials. So here we are going to see about 5 points, which says about how to make sure your email authentication is done and dusted, right? So once the email service provider is selected, there are a few things to be taken care of. One is of SPS, TKM, and DMARC, right? So still people say DMARC is optional, but when you want to achieve some advanced email case studies like BME and AMP, DMARC is one of the thing which is required, right? So once this is set up, we need to make sure your email infra is warmed up properly. Email is also a fragile channel which you can't plug and blast it to your entire audience. You have to go through the warm up cycle, which makes sure you are targeting highly engaged users with 30 days, 50 days, and 90 days highly engaged users, right? So followed by that, making sure that you have a very good sender reputation. This involves a bit of art as well. When we say art, it's something about your content, the engagement rate, and how your domain is also performing. So there are platforms like Google Postmaster where you can go through and see how the ISPs are seeing you as a good email sender or a bad email sender, right? And the important pointer here is how keeping your email list free, right? So all email IDs or all email users will not be fan for your offering for a long time. We have to churn few users. You can't target the entire database as well. And this also, we also need to pick something about whether we are collecting the email database as a single opt-in or double opt-in. I think for e-commerce, it's preferred to have a single opt-in. Is there any comment from you for that?
Yeah, I think most people in e-commerce, I'd say 99% of our clients all leverage a single opt-in.
So do they see double opt-in is like kind of an blocker for getting into the funnel?
Yeah, a lot of these clients that are spending a lot of money on Facebook and Instagram and Google, and they want as many people in their funnel that they can have access to send emails to or not. So where we come in as an email agency is we're just really strict on our inclusions and our exclusions, and we're really good to clean the list, right? So if someone is on our list and they bounce, right, whether it's a hard or soft bounce, we won't really normally mail them. And if they open, if they're on our list, receive 5 or 10 emails and they don't open, we'll start excluding them from campaigns. So we prefer to kind of have the funnel, to your point, be really wide and large. And then we kind of, as the marketers, control who we send to and who we don't send to. Where I think for beginners, maybe it is better to leverage a double opt-in. If you don't know what you're doing, it's probably safer. But I think in most cases, if you know what you're doing, people prefer the single opt-in just so that way the control's in your hands.
The last pointer is on taking care of your unsubscribers and bounces, right? So we need to have an intelligent system that makes sure that we are not retargeting a customer who has not given the consent, and if the email ID is also invalid. So after this, making sure the essentials are fixed, and we come to the smart segment, right? So when we say smart segmentation, it's about how effectively we are running the campaign, right? So when we say effectively, there is 2 pointers here I would like to bring in. One, how relevant the content is to the customer, and is it helping to achieve the business outcome, right? So so we are going to take an example of a men's grooming e-commerce platform. I think where we are explaining the user flow here, like the user flow of what customer will ideally do. Say here we are specifically looking for a one-time purchaser, not a repeat purchaser. So we have male users and female users. Male users who are shopping for them and for their family and friends, and we have female audience or users who are going to shop for someone else, right? If we are creating a broader segment, right, say a segment that consists of all the users in your DB, and if you're going to send a no shave number campaign, so that it's going to look awkward for female audience, right? So it's always advised, or it's always good to have a micro segment that we see what kind of activity the customers are doing, and based on that, we send the relevant content as well. So here we are saying something about a reminder email to send for a repurchase or a cross-selling related to the product they have purchased. In typical e-commerce, it can be something like if a customer is buying a mobile phone, then you can send them a cross-selling email to buy them a charger or a wireless headphone and so on and so forth, right? And say, in order to do this smart segment, right, we also need the right data set. So in the next slide, we are going to see in order to make the smart segment, what kind of data set actually we need to see. So the first 2 stages, what we are seeing here is going to give a broader personalization, and the rest, the 3 dots are going to help us to see the hyper personalization. So this personalization and the segmentation go hand in hand, because the data and the content have to be stitched together, right? So the first 2 stages where we see broader persona and the focus persona, where it's going to be about demographic and psychographic. And the segmentation will revolve around something like, hey, the first name, and we have the content. And the rest where we are going to say about like micro segments. Here we are saying something like about the transactional history. Say if a customer has made a purchase based on a specific credit card, and that is the offer running on the credit card, we create a micro segment and then retarget them based on the purchase transaction history which we have. The closest we can go is the real-time behavioral retargeting, something around a cart abandonment or a product abandonment and so on and so forth. So here, the next slide, we are going to see about how the guidelines to create a proper segmentation, right? So one, we have to keep in mind to define the goals here. So the goal can be something driving a new user to make their first purchase, or it can be something like the new user to sign up for a product, right? So we have to define the goal and make a relevant content. And it's always good to have a micro segment. So small segment is nothing but the micro segments. When we say micro segments, it's something like that, kind of more relevant, and it resonates to the customer what they need, rather than we make kind of a spray and pray kind of a segment, right? There is also a catch here. So when we create a micro segment, the more the rules we make, the tiny the audience size will come up. So we also need to have to be practical, so we can include the customers who are intent to purchase, rather than sticking to the segments which we keep in mind as well. The next pointer which I have here is create a practical segment. When we say practical segments, the micro segments which we create should also have highly differentiated segments. So if there are not at least 3 adjectives that defines the micro segments, then it's going to be pretty much same, right? So there is no use of creating multiple micro segments when the same audience are going to be there. So it's highly required to have a differentiation when you are creating the segments. And the last pointer is going to be creating segments based on the user life cycle, whether they are on top of the funnel or they are on the bottom of the funnel. Create a segment that nudges and the right content is delivered to them. That's it on the smart segment side, and we have Chase to take the floor from here on how to create intelligent campaigns in the framework. Over to you, Chase.
Awesome. Yeah, great job. That was awesome. So before we talk about campaigns and flows, I want to break down what those are so we're on the same page. So basically, a campaign is a one-time send to a group of contacts. Think about a holiday blast or some kind of promotional send. Whereas a flow, that's synonymous with what's called email automation. That's basically an email that's triggered every single time a certain behavior or an action occurs. So someone is on your website, they enter their email into a pop-up, that will then trigger what's called the welcome series for non-buyers. Or if someone's on your list, they add something to their cart, but they don't start checkout or they don't purchase, that will then trigger the abandoned cart email. So now that you have the definitions, let's talk about kind of some of the flows first, and then we'll talk about campaigns. So here are the 3 must-have flows. The very core, I think all e-commerce brands and all brands in general, if they have these capabilities available, should be doing these things. So I'm going to talk about each one individually, but starting with the welcome series for non-buyers, again, there's the abandoned checkout and there's the post-purchase flow. I'm going to dive in first to the welcome series for non-buyers. And essentially what this is this is one of the most important kind of sequences and automations that the customers are going to get throughout their entire journey with your brand. These basically make your customers and kind of subscribers accustomed to engaging with your brand and setting the tone of your entire relationship. So let's talk about each of the emails. So we run a 4-part email sequence for this. At any point in this series, if someone purchases, instead of receiving additional emails in this sequence, they're going to move to the post-purchase, which we'll talk about later. So here's email 1. In this first email, we're going to want to say welcome, thank you, and give any kind of discount code or offer that we promised in the form. So in the form, if we told people, enter your email for 10% off, we better make sure that we give the 10% off code, in this email in particular. So in this sequence, I'm going to go through a brand called Magic Spoon, and they're a cereal company that makes kind of a healthier cereal. So here on the right side, you can see welcome to the land of Magic Spoon, right? It's this captivating header image that really draws you in. Then for here, it talks about some info about the brand. Talks about, we set out to do our favorite cereal brand, but we didn't want any of the bad stuff. We swapped out the junk for high protein, low carb, so forth, right? Giving you a lot of really strong info about the brand. So that way you're all on the same page. And then the call to action right here of try now is pretty light. And as we move on to other emails, you'll see it go from try now to order now and buy now, right? So as you have more information, we're going to start pressing you to hopefully make a purchase. So that's email 1. Email 2 is all about the brand story, the unique quality standards of shopping with this company, and really the benefit of shopping with this brand. This is for the consumers that are asking, what's in it for me? Why should I care? How are you different? Why does this matter? And they really start off with this strong graphic and this really strong brand comparison of us, right? So our cereal only has 3 grams of net carbs, right? As adults, we have to start focusing on eating a little bit healthier because we don't have the same metabolism as we did, as kids. And them, they have the thumb down, they have 21 grams of net carbs. So all the cereals that, I grew up eating, Frosted Flakes, Captain Crunch, Fruit Loops, other cereals, they all have a lot of carbs, right? They have 7 times the amount of carbs. So just with a single, image and graphic, they're able to convey a lot of stuff. And then here, they have the same call to action as email 1. And again, email 3 is where it will change, but it's try now. It's kind of light, it's prompting you to hopefully try it out. And again, going into the brand benefits, we swapped out the junk. So we got rid of the wheat, the corn, and the sugar, and we replaced that with high protein, low carb, and keto ingredients. The best thing though, is the taste has not been sacrificed. The taste is still really, really good. It's just a better cereal that you can eat more regularly. So then the next email in this series is all about demonstrating social proof. Social proof comes in many shapes and sizes, but some of the popular ones and common ones are customer reviews, any kind of press mentions, any celebrity or brand kind of influencer endorsements, how much retail stores that you're in or you're not, and then you want to display the popular products. So this is kind of a cool header image. It's actually a GIF that rotates the bottle around the popular cereal companies. This is just an image right now, so you can't see that, but it's really captivating and draws you in, and it's engaging. And then they leverage some really great social proof. So, in the US, these are 3 very reputable press outlets. So Men's Journal, Delish, and Fast Company are carried with a lot of weight here. So their, strong raving review about this company really helps sell the product being legitimate. And then now the call to action is more direct. So you've received now 3 emails. You've learned about the brand, you have the social proof, you learned about the benefits. They're now saying, hey, by now you probably should understand that we are legit, we are who we say we are. Make sure you order now. And then the last email, if you still haven't got someone to convert, is really focusing on the community. Getting people to join a Facebook group, getting people to follow you on Instagram, getting people to even respond to the email. And that's the approach that these guys take here. So they show kind of a brief intro and kind of a photo of the founders. Hey, we're Gabby and Greg, we're the founders. They're smiling, right? They have the bowl of cereal. This is just a really inviting email. And then they have more info on, we wanted to make the cereal that adults can love and taste and feel great about eating every day. And we'd love to answer your any questions. So fire away. And this call to action of ask us anything is hyperlinked to open up the email. So you click on it and it will open up your inbox that says founders@magicspoon.com, ask us anything. And then you can ask them anything that you guys want. So this is the welcome series for non-buyer. Super important. So that way everyone on your list has the same information. They're up to speed. And hopefully you can kind of engage and nurture and ultimately convert them through this sequence. So moving on to now what's called the abandoned checkout. And I want to highlight here that the abandoned checkout is actually different than the abandoned cart. And I work currently with about 100 e-commerce brands, and I've worked with hundreds in the past. And this is a lot of things that brands get wrong. They have what's called the abandoned cart and not the abandoned checkout or vice versa. And you actually need both. So if we look over here on the right-hand side, this is the funnel. Right? The most number of people are going to be at the homepage, and the least number of people are actually going to make it through checkout and ultimately purchase. Each different step in the funnel introduces friction, and friction, basically removes the likelihood of someone going from step A to step B all the way to step, Z. So this is the customer journey, and then I'll talk about the content. So people are going to be on the homepage, and then if they're engaged, they're going to look at the category. Then hopefully they're going to look at a product or products. Hopefully they're going to add to cart, start checkout, and ultimately purchase. But each step in the funnel will introduce the ability for you to create content and send content depending on where people left off. So if someone has viewed a product but hasn't done any of these further actions of adding to cart, starting checkout, or buying, you'll want to send what's called a browse abandonment email. You're going to want to dynamically render and show the product or the products that someone was looking at and try to get them to add to cart and start checkout. Each step in the funnel is going to want to try to push someone to the next step. So however, if someone views a product and adds to cart but doesn't start checkout or doesn't buy, we're going to send them an abandoned cart, right? We're going to take them back to their cart dynamically, show them the items, so on and so forth. But really the one that I want to talk about today is the abandoned checkout. And the reason for this is, people could either A, be on your list already, or B, if they complete a portion of your checkout, they can be eligible to receive this. And these are people that are furthest down the funnel. These people have heavy consideration. They just need a push to that way get into actually converting and buying from your company. So let's talk about the abandoned checkout. So doing this, as kind of briefly mentioned, is going to help you recover and convert your most engaged visitors that are already on your website. And the way that we'll know something like this is, the trigger different between abandoned cart and abandoned checkout. For abandoned checkout, it's checkout started or started checkout. Whereas with abandoned cart, it's something like added to cart. So what we're going to do here, it's going to dive into this screenshot. So this is a real example for one of our clients over a 30-day period. And notice the following, the open rates, right? So half the people that received this actually opened it. 2 out of every 10 people that actually received the email clicked through it. And 1 out of every 10 people that received the email actually placed an order. So this company alone off this one email did $59,000 USD in a single month. And they only sent it to about 3,400 people. So people in this bucket have a lot of intent. They have a lot of purchase, consideration. And then we basically sent another email to people that did not open it after 23 hours, or the people that did not convert. And again, here, the metrics are really good. So all in the last 30 days, this 2 emails did $83,000 in revenue for a brand. Let's break this down. So email 1, we're going to remind the customer of the item or the items that they left behind. And really, honestly, just keeping the email simple will do the trick. At least at the very beginning, getting something up is better than not having anything. So here, we talked about the brand. You have Ibex products waiting in your basket. We want to let them know that we've saved their info. And all they have to do is click here to complete their purchase. And that link is going to take people back to checkout. And it's super important that depending on where people drop off, you take them back to where they were. So if someone, going back to this slide, up here, going back to the abandoned checkout versus abandoned cart slide, if someone's viewing a product and they don't do anything else, you're going to want to basically show them and take them back to the product page. But if someone has added to cart and they abandoned, you're going to want to take them back to their cart. And if someone has done the checkout but abandoned, you're going to take them back to checkout. You're going to drop them back to where they were versus just dropping them on the homepage. So that way, all they have to do is 1, 2, or 3 steps versus having to complete the entire funnel again. So now we're going to go back to the slide on abandoned checkout email 1. So we talked about the first half. Now we're going to talk about the dynamic product block. So a lot of email providers, ESPs, email service providers have the ability for you to dynamically show the product block that someone added to cart, viewed, started checkout with. So we're going to dynamically render the product block here, and then we're going to have a call to action that drops people back to the checkout. So that's email 1. And again, if people don't convert from email 1, we're then going to send them abandoned checkout email 2. And the goal here is to just educate the customer what your company stands for, and also remind them again of the item or the items that you left behind. So this is a nice lifestyle photo where we have the Discover Ibex. It's going to take them back to checkout. The lifestyle photo allows people to hopefully envision themselves, wearing it or using it or purchasing it for a friend or family member. Then we talk about the brand quality and kind of product quality standards. So they make this really nice merino wool. They talk about how it doesn't get sweaty. It's kind of more breathable, and it's just really high quality, wool and fabric and whatnot. And then again, we're going to dynamically show the product or the products that people left behind. And then the call to action of finish checkout will drop people back to checkout. So now that we've gone through the welcome series for our buyers, we've gone through the abandoned checkout, we're going to finish the automation portion before moving over to the campaigns on the post-purchase. So on the post-purchase, it's really important that you send something. When people buy from you, that's not when the relationship ends. That's actually when the relationship starts. You really want to show your appreciation for customers by saying thank you. You want to get them to provide valuable feedback and content and ultimately be really ingrained in the community. Again, joining the Facebook group, maybe joining the Slack group, giving you guys product feedback, leaving product reviews, asking for certain new products. So we're going to go through 3 emails. So the first is going to be a thank you and a product education.
Before going to this, one thing, Chase, I have a question here. Before we go to this post-purchase session, right? So I have a question here. What should be the frequency between the first cart abandonment email and the second cart abandonment email? Is it going to be the next day, or we need to have some breather time when we are targeting the customer here?
Yeah, great question. So if we go back to the slide that just says abandoned checkout, there's a few back. Let's see. So if we go back there, we'll see one more to forward. All right, so yeah, one more forward, one more right here. So we could see right here. So when someone starts checkout, we're going to wait 1 hour and then send them the first email. And then after people receive that email, we're going to wait 23 hours. So essentially people will receive 2 emails in about 24 hours. And basically what you have to do here is you have to test the time delay. So on the first email, we've tested anywhere from 30 minutes all the way up to 4 hours. 30 minutes is a little bit aggressive and a little bit quick. And 4 hours is a little bit kind of long and delayed where people might be distracted. So what we found through our own data, and again, you have to test this for your own store, maybe something will work different. We found that 1 hour was that sweet spot. It was quick enough, but not being too quick. And then from there, we typically wait about 23 hours to 24 hours. So one day after people have received email 1, if they don't buy, they will receive email 2.
And we also need to make sure when we are managing, like removing the customer who have made the purchases, right? Like that
exactly. Exactly. And you can't see it right now because it's hidden. But if you look at the very top, it says trigger. And then right under the trigger has this two under flow filters. And basically what the flow filter says is someone has not purchased, basically someone's purchased 0 times since starting this flow. And then we'll have another filter that just says someone has not been in this flow or automation in the past 3 days or 7 days, right? So we basically want to automatically kick out people that buy since starting this flow. We also want to make sure that someone doesn't receive the same flow of these 2 emails too frequently, right? So we might say, hold off sending this to someone that also qualifies to receive this for at least 1 week, right? So those are kind of how we have this. We have the flow filters on the actual flow. Anytime one of those things are met, people get kicked out.
And a follow-up question to that is like, is it 2-time nudge is fine, or is it going to be 3-4 times we need to nudge for the cart abandonment here?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we always start with 2. And then if the metrics look good, like they look really good in the screenshot, right? Being able to convert 5% of placed order people in email number 2, that means that we could probably add a 3rd email, potentially a 4th email. So we'd probably add 1 more email here, wait to see how that does, right? Wait till a couple thousand people go through it. We want some kind of significance on the data. And if that looks good, we might try squeezing the 4th. And if we look at the 4th and it's not doing great, we'll just delete it and we'll end up having 3. So we always start with 2, and then we slowly increment up depending on how performance looks.
Got it.
Awesome. All right, so going back to, I think we were just on the post-purchase slide. So we're going to talk about the customer thank you and then product education. We're going to talk about leaving a review on a Facebook ad, and then we're going to be talking about another review request. So going to the slide on post-purchase email 1, what we're going to do here is we're really going to thank our customers and validate their buying decision. And this is how it looks. And here, a plain text email is a really nice thing to have. So, plain text, beautifully designed emails. I think there's a place and time for both, right? I think you have to test it, which works better for your brand. But a customer thank you email is a really nice way to do it as plain text. That way it feels more personal. So this email can come from the founder or it can come from some community manager or someone that's kind of the spokesperson for the brand. So right here in this email, it says, hey, Chase, it's Todd. While you wait for your order to arrive, I thought it'd be helpful to give you some tips and tricks. And essentially what we noticed here was there was a bunch of people that received their products and they didn't know how to use it. So our support was getting bogged down and a lot of people were returning because they didn't use it. So what we basically did is instead of just doing just a thank you, we also wanted to give some really crucial product information. So that way, when people got their product, they knew it was working and they knew how to receive it. So this was for like a weighted blanket called a calming blanket. So that way, people are spending $200, $300 on these things. We wanted to make sure that we could reduce support tickets, reinforce the buying decision and allow people to know how to use it. So we gave them 3 ways to use it. Sleep with the blanket. So most people use it to reduce movement when they sleep. Use the blanket to calm down and ground yourself, right? So after a long, hard day, you want to just cuddle up, kind of to watch some TV, use this blanket to keep you cozy and warm, and then also use it as like a warm hug, right? So, there's some psychology and studies out there that giving people a hug actually is good for our bodies. So you want to use this to kind of give yourself that feeling of a hug if no one's around. So that's that email. Again, these emails post-purchase get really high open rates, right? So half the people actually opened it, and sometimes they even get higher. You could see 50, 60, even potentially sometimes 70% of people opening this first email. So then email 2, what we're going to do here, this is waiting, till day 17. So with this particular company, we know that customers receive their item within the first, let's say, 5 to 7 days. So we're waiting to day 17 just to be safe and give people like at least a week and a half to actually use the product. And then we're asking for a product review request. But the way that we're doing this actually is really unique and interesting. So we're sending this email over and we're giving people the incentive to leave a review by offering them into a giveaway. So if you leave a review, whether it's an image, a video, or a sentence, we'll enter you into a drawing to win a product worth $349. And what we're doing is we're sending people to a Facebook ad. And the reason for this is the more likes and comments that are positive on the Facebook ad, the more social proof we have, the better that we can have in terms of converting audiences. And the more social proof that we have, the lower the cost that we have to pay Facebook, because more people are taking action. And Facebook wants to show ads that people like and ads that are working. So every single month we rotate in and out a different ad just to get dozens and dozens of positive reviews and testimonials on our ads. So this was something really clever that we worked with on this client to be able to decrease our cost of acquisition, which has essentially made us more profitable. And then lastly, we did one more product review request plus adding people to, or inviting people to join the community. And the reason here is this company is based in Australia. And what we found for Australia in particular, but this is applicable in the US and other places in the world, a lot of people consult third-party review sites. So in the US, we have a big one called Trustpilot. In other countries, they have Trustpilot or other platforms as well. For this particular country in Australia, they have productreviews.com.au. And we noticed through our research and our surveys and asking customers that 75% of them would consult on this one site alone. So we started sending positive reviews and feedback to that site. So that way, when people went over there, there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments and testimonials and 5-star reviews. So we did that. And we also asked people to like our Facebook page and to follow us on Instagram. So that is kind of the 3 core automations that every brand that's in e-commerce at least should be leveraging. I now want to talk about campaigns, but does that make sense? Any questions on any of the automation stuff?
That's interesting to give incentivize for the customer to give a review. That's one of the interesting thing I've ever seen. Like everyone gets excited when you see your orders here, right? Like after that post purchase follow-up email, I hardly get it from any emails from any brands, right? So and I don't think I have gone through any email that says like, okay, I'm going to give you incentive because you are going to review my brand as well, right? And it's also interesting to see like campaign something around like because you clicked so and so email and you are getting a special coupon for it. Like it's again a post purchase behavior email which I have received from few brands. Says like you have exclusively opened that email and here is your coupon code for that.
Yeah, I think the whole thing with email is a couple of things. I think one, there's no silver bullet, right? You have to do a lot of things really, really well. And doing a lot of things really well, make sure that you have an email that's automated at every single touch point in the customer journey. On the pre-purchase side, there's the welcome series for non-buyers that we talked about. There's the browse abandonment, which we briefly talked about, the abandoned cart, the abandoned checkout. There's like the back in stock, right? Like those are some of the big ones on the pre-purchase side. You have to make sure that at every point in time where your customer journey is, you send them an email that's relevant to their stage. It's very specific, that's very tailored. And then on the post-purchase side, right, we want to have customer thank yous, review requests, cross-sells and upsells. We want to have win backs. We want to have breakup series, right? We want to really make sure that we have good touch points. And then the other side of that, right, is we want to make sure that we're sending enough campaigns per week. So that's kind of leading us into, where we're at here. So you want to make sure that you're sending at least 2 to 5 campaigns per week. And I think a lot of brands are sending far too few. Some are just sending like 1 to 2 a week. And I think the reason is, we're all marketers, but we're also all consumers. And I think as a consumer, we put our hat on and we don't want to receive 3, 4, 5 emails a week from our brand. So therefore we don't send it. But back to Titus's point earlier on segmentation, by leveraging segmentation, we could send 5 emails a week, but one particular person might only receive 2 or 3 emails. And if you think about, if we're getting 20, 30, 40% open rates, that only means that, people on your list probably are only actually opening 1 or 2 of the emails per week, right? So you need to make sure that you're sending enough emails per week where you can maximize revenue, but not too many where you have so many people unsubscribing and marking as spam. And it's really important on that note to make sure that we're diversifying campaign content. We really want to keep it fresh. We really want to keep the content interesting. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about on this next slide is, some different campaign ideas. So in this slide right here, I'm going to tell you at a really high level what each of these are. And then all the next slides will actually be showing you an example of each one of these. So the first is a product launch email. I think that's a pretty common one. Most people know how to do a product launch or collection launch. The next is an influencer or celebrity partnership. So if you happen to have any influencers or celebrities that post your brand organically or post your brand because you've paid them, make sure that you leverage some of that UGC in that content, obviously making sure you have their permission within your emails. That's a really engaging email. Maybe even build a collection page around that specific influencer celebrity on your website and send people there. The next is promos or special offers, right? flash sales, discounts, whatever it might be, holiday offers. And then there's kind of education or social proof, right? So education about the brand, education about the process of building the products, education and social proof, leveraging reviews and those types of things. Giveaways, right? Giving people the ability to earn free product from your brand and potentially other brands as well. Bundles, that's a really great way to increase your average order value, which is short for, or that's long for the way of saying AOV, average order value. If you bundle things together, the price point of the items is going to increase, which allows you to spend more money on remarketing and kind of top of the funnel acquisition. And then gifting, right? So people either A, buy for themselves, or B, they buy from others. So let's dive in now to some campaigns. So the first is the product launch email, right? Again, this one's pretty standard, pretty simple. And sorry, I had to cut this into two different things just to make it fit. But the left-hand side where it says new, super soft, that's the top half of the email. And then the right-hand side is the bottom half of the email. So they're just introducing kind of this new product, this new SKU. They're kind of pointing out it's a crew neck, it has natural fibers, this, that, and the other. It has a kind of an easy way of showing the 4 colors available. It shows men and women. And then it has, shop new tees. So really simple email, but a really great way to launch and introduce a new product. People love new products. They want the latest and the greatest. And this is a great way to drive first-time subscribers into first-time customers and, existing customers into repeat buyers is by launching new things that they're going to hopefully love. So the next email.
So in new product launch, do you suggest to have a teaser email before launching the new product, or is it okay to just boom, like here's the new product launch from our end?
Yeah, you could do both. So like if we have like a really big collection of product drop or launch that we're really excited about, we'll do a 3-part email sequence. One will basically be an email kind of teaser or like a hype email, like, hey, heads up, keep your eye on your inbox tomorrow. We're dropping this new t-shirt. That's email 1. Email 2 is like, hey guys, the t-shirt's here, check it out, whatever. And then the third email is a reminder, like, hey, reminder, we dropped this new product. We know you're going to love it. So if we have something that's really important, we'll try to do that probably like once a quarter for that big product. And then other times we might just launch the email itself and then do a follow-up. So it really depends. So the next email is on, this is a big celebrity, Ariana Grande. Most people are not going to obviously be able to get her, but you can get smaller celebrities or even influencers and just curate the content and create the content around their lookbook and their styles and their collection, right? I think this is a really great way to just show, your flexibility in your range. Obviously, you're going to have UGC from real customers that people probably won't know. And then you can be able to kind of flex a little bit with a customer like this, or like a celebrity like this. This is a great way to do it if you're already doing influencers or celebrities. That one's a simple, good email, adds a lot of social proof and credibility to your brand. The next one is going to be on promos and kind of special offers. And this is actually a really interesting way that we approached it for one of our clients. It's an interesting way that we approach promos in one email, and each one is limited. So the best offer has the fewest amount. So the best offer is buy one, get one free, and it has 20 quantity. And basically that's basically 50% off. So buy one, get one free is 50% off. The next one is 30% off, right? So 30% off is still a good discount, but it's not as good as the other, right? If it's a $100 product, which this one wasn't, the difference in 20% is $20, right? So it could be sizable. And this one has 25 available. And then the last one is $12 off a single case. And I think that was equivalent to like 15 or 20%. And that one has 30 available. So this, because, it's an interesting way to do it, and I haven't seen anyone do it before. We sold out, I think, of this product like within a couple hours. Like each of the discounts was respectfully sold out within like a couple hours. So people would try the first one, the first one worked great. If they try the first one and it didn't work, they'd have to go back to the email and then try the next one. So it's kind of an interesting way to do like a promo and a flash sale. The next email.
When we do this promo or a flash sale, right? So you mentioned that it's good to run at least 5 campaigns in a week, right? So what should be this frequency? Like, is it okay a brand running promo campaign for all 5 days in a week, or they should restrict themselves to 2 days or 3 days?
Yeah, I would try to use. So I don't know how many I'm talking about today. There's probably 6 to 8 that we're going through. I would try to leverage as many of these different categories as you can in a given week or a given month. Sometimes, right, like if you're running a flash sale or, something like that, you might have like 2 or 3 days in a row where you're running the flash sale. Then you'd want the other ones to be education. So you really want a nice hybrid and mix of education and sales and social proof You don't want to just be pushing sales down people's throats, and you don't want to just be pushing education. So it just depends. And again, some weeks you may only send 2 campaigns. One could be a sale, and then one could be something else, or maybe send 3 campaigns and there could be 2 sales. So every week it's going to change a little bit. We look at things on a monthly basis. So that way we can say, for this month, what is our ratio and breakdown of sales versus education versus this, that, and the other? And every month it kind of changes a little bit depending on what holidays, what's on our product launch calendar, what's on our roadmap. So having a nice balance is really important.
It's best to have a campaign calendar planned well in advance for a month, right?
Yeah, every month, like we try to at least come up with the ideas. So that way we can say, okay, for the month of August, we're sending, a promo on the week 1, and we're doing an educational on week 1. And then week 2, we're doing a product launch, a collection launch, and some kind of celebrity partnership. And then week 3, we're doing UGC, join our Facebook group, and this and the other. So at least we'll come up with the ideas so we can see how they fit into the calendar. We might want to move things around. And then we'll actually work on getting the emails created and crafted at least 2 weeks in advance.
Got it.
Awesome. So the next email is all about education content and kind of some social proof. So in this case, this is one of our clients that makes wallets. And we did this really kind of fun and unique and interesting blog post where we screenshotted and grabbed a bunch of photos of wallets over the ages. And we showed how like the evolution of wallets have changed. Before they were kind of thick and bulky and people had tons of cards and receipts and everything in it, right? And they would almost like burn a hole in your pocket, right? Because they were so big and so large. But now everything is about sleek and minimal and less is more, right? So we just showed like over the years, like the different wallets and how those have changed. And then we prompted people to get, into the new and kind of fresh and up their game with our new wallets. So we sent people to a blog post. This was the email kind of just teasing it. And this was a really successful, email for us on sending traffic to a blog post. The next one is a giveaway, right? So people love the opportunity to win something for free, right? So this is a mattress brand. They make like bedding and sheets as well. They basically said, hey, win your wish list, make your dreams come true. You can earn up to $1,000 on our store, right? Enter now. So you can either do a solo giveaway or a joint giveaway. A joint giveaway could be partnering with other brands that have complementary audiences, but non-competitive products. So this is kind of the giveaway, right? Maybe run these every 3 to 6 months, depending on how they do. It's a great way to hopefully get people on your list to share with their friends and their family. The important thing here is making sure that the product that you're giving away is relevant to what your audience cares about. If you're, let's say, I don't know, a company that's selling a t-shirt and you're trying to give away, an airfare or a trip, those aren't really correlated. You should be giving away your product. So people are excited. And that leads us to a t-shirt company on the next slide, which is bundles. So we did this kind of clever BYOB, right? So, I think we all understand at some degree BYOB. When we were younger, it used to mean bring your own beer, right? It used to be something when we were in high school and college, bring your own beer. But now it's all about bring your own bundle, build your own bundle. So this was kind of just a great kind of clever way for people to bundle and build their products that they wanted and be able to save a little bit of the money. But, this t-shirt normally, I think it's like $30 or whatever it is. And now you can bundle and save for more. So now talking about gifting, as mentioned before, people either buy for themselves or they buy for others, right? So with gifting, especially for this product, this is a men's trimmer or men's razor. People can only buy it once. They're only going to buy one trimmer or one razor for themselves. Like this product should last a couple of years. I know I bought a razor like 5 years ago and I still have it, right? You can sell them obviously beard oil and other products for that person. That's kind of a continuation, but position this towards gifting for your dad or your brother, your boyfriend, your husband. Obviously, if it's a guy, you're going to be doing it for so-and-so. And if it's a woman, you're going to be doing it for other people, those types of things. So that's gifting. So those are really kind of what I had for you guys today on like the campaigns and the automation. So hopefully that's helpful. And I really want to end on like, how do you maximize what you're doing on the campaigns and the automations? And the way that you do that is through ongoing testing and optimization. So on the next slide, we're going to be talking about A/B testing optimization. So I'm sure most of you guys understand what an A/B test is, but just to simply give you guys the definition, A/B testing also is synonymous with what's called split testing. And basically it's a process of comparing two variations or versions of a website, an email, or a Facebook ad, whatever it might be, and measuring the difference in performance. So you're giving one version to one group, another version to another group. It's really important that you're testing one variable at a time, right? So subject line A versus subject line B, preview text A versus preview text B. And this was just a screenshot that shows, to an email for about 18, almost 19,000 people, the difference in the click-through actually was pretty significant, right? On this one, there was an extra 250 over 180, right? So that's an extra like 60 to 70 clicks that one of the ones got. And that was just based on having, a different subject line. So on the next slide, we're going to talk about all the things that you can A/B test. So but when you think about getting people to open an email, outside of where your email lands, whether it's the primary folder, the promotions, or the spam folder, there's 3 things that you control that get people to open the email: the from name, the subject line, and the preview text. So envision, close your eyes and envision the inbox, right? From left to right, you have the from name. So if it came from me, it might say something like Chase Diamond. The subject line might be A/B testing and optimizations. And the preview text might be, here are all the things that you should be A/B testing, right? Those 3 things are really supposed to work together. So the from name is familiar, people understand it. The subject line is interesting and intriguing. And the preview text adds to that and drives curiosity. So those are kind of 3 things you should be testing. Again, test a from name to a from name, a subject line to a subject line, and a preview text to a preview text. Obviously, you can only do one at a time. And then once you actually open the email, there are certain things that you can test. The email copy, the email design, whether it's plain text versus HTML, the offers, $10 off versus 10% off, free shipping versus free product with purchase, the call to actions, and so much more. So those are the things that you can be testing. And then lastly, right, here's kind of just so you can kind of wrap your head around, how each works. So with email, if you have low click-through rates, maybe you have a poor or kind of an unclear call to action. If you have low open rates, maybe you need a better subject line. If you're landing in spam, maybe you need to be a little bit more strict with your segmentation. So that's kind of some stuff on the A/B testing optimization. And that's really what I have for you today. And Titus, I'll let you guys take it from here. And thank you guys for having me. This was interesting. This was fun.
Thanks a lot, Chase. I'm just wondering, like, how many of your campaigns are actually using A/B testing for the pre-header text, right? Because when we say A/B testing in email marketing, it all starts in subject line testing, right? So very, very few brands or few marketers think about email pre-header text. How important you think A/B testing will help marketers using pre-header text?
Yeah, if I had to wait and kind of put an emphasis on the 3 things that we have to get people to open: the from name, the subject line, and the preview text, I would say I think subject line is the most important. And I've actually been having some decent success lately with testing from name, which is kind of surprising. So I'd put that right now on as 2, just because it's present on my mind. And then I'd say preview text is 3. That being said, like, I think you're right. I think a lot of people ignore the importance of the preview text. I think it can move the needle. So I think it's definitely something that you need to test. But I would start with, first and foremost, really nailing subject lines, getting those dialed in, making sure that your from name is set up the right way. From name, you don't need as much testing, right? You can't really do too much with the from name. It could be Chase Diamond, normal. It could be Chase Diamond all caps. It could maybe be Chase and then the emoji diamond. Maybe it could be my email address, right? So I would do kind of a little bit of from name testing after the subject lines, just to get that dialed in. And then from there, I would definitely focus on testing preview text. So that's how I think about it, and that's how I prioritize it.
All right. So we have few questions. The first question is like, can I use user review in my cart abandonment email?
Using user reviews in cart abandonment?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the more social proof, I think the more testimonials, the more things that you guys can do within your emails, on your website, on your social, to really sell home that you're legit, that people love you. And you, I mean, obviously, right, you're biased as a brand, so you're going to say how great you are. But if other people can confirm how great you are and how your products have benefited them and changed their lives, whatever it might be, yeah, I think being able to sprinkle in UGC and press mentions and all these testimonials within various emails, I think are really important.
I second you in that, because the first thing I do before I buy a product in online is like just go and see the review, whether the product is good, what's the experience of the other customer for the product. The follow-up question to that is like, what marketer needs to keep in mind in 2021?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think the biggest thing, I've been doing email now for about 6 or so years. I think the biggest change over the 6 years, 6 years ago, you could batch and blast your list and you would more or less be okay, right? You wouldn't be as, you know, dinged or kind of penalized back then. Today, that's so far from the truth. Like everything today is about the quality of who you're sending to. The script is completely flipped where you have to be very, strict in who you're hitting. 30-day engage, 60-day engage, 90-day engage, right? You have to be getting a 20% open rate or higher on your campaigns. Again, a campaign is a one-time send to a group of people. Your benchmark should be getting 20% or higher. So you have to pick the segment that allows you to straddle that line. If you're getting a 50 or 80%, sure, that sounds great, but you're probably being too strict, right? You're probably only hitting a 30-day engaged, and you could be hitting a 45, a 60, a 75, a 90-day engaged, and opening up the pool a little bit, but not in a way that's harmful. So I guess the biggest thing that has changed is the quality of the people that you're sending to is so important, more so than the quantity. And segmenting your list is so important, yet so many people fail to do it properly.
Right. So I have another question here. What should be the frequency to clean a list?
Yeah, so with our clients, we have what's called like a sunset unengaged. It's essentially a breakup series. So we basically set up a segment, and the segment could vary depending on your frequency. So if you're sending an email every single day, you want basically the frequency in which you enroll someone into this breakup series to be sooner than you would if you're sending it only once a week. So if you're only sending once a week, you might need to give people, let's say 3 months, because that's about 10, 12 emails to be able to engage and kind of whatnot. Whereas if you're sending every single day, you might want to say, hey, if someone hasn't opened in the first month, that's basically giving them like 20 or 30 chances, which is a lot of chances. We got to get rid of them. Right? And so basically what you do is you set the segment either based off of time and or number of emails received. So number of emails received could also be another one. So say, for example, someone has not opened 10 or more emails, you want to put them into this breakup series. And this is a last chance effort, 1 or 2 emails that say, hey, maybe it's us, maybe it's you, maybe you're busy, maybe you don't like our content. We wanted to know if you wanted to stay involved. If you want to stay involved, click here. If you don't want to stay involved, click here, right? And so we'll basically do that as a last ditch effort. If those people don't engage, they don't open, if they don't interact, we'll send them and automatically tag their profiles unengaged equals true. And then every couple of weeks we'll go in, maybe like every 4 to 6 weeks we'll go in and we'll just suppress those people. But the other thing that we do, and you can kind of do it not as frequently, is if you have an exclusion. So if you have people in a segment where unengaged equals true as an exclusion, and you have that set up for your campaigns, and that's another way to do it, where that way maybe every 45, 60, 90 days you go and actually suppress them if you have the exclusion set up. But I think the easier one is just to go in every month, clean the list, because you're also paying, for a number of contacts. So you do want to suppress your list if you're not sending to them.
Correct. So basically, even that has to be automated. It's not going to be something like sit one day and then just make some segments and say like, okay, these many customers are not interacting to my mail. Rather than it has to be like kind of an ongoing framework or ongoing automation which identifies like these are the set of users who have not interacted to my content for the past 90 days or 120 days, and then just remove them from the list.
Yeah, exactly. If you have to do it manually, if you have to remember to do it, you're not going to do it. The more things that you can automate, the easier and the better. So automate that. And then obviously the pressing of the list or the deleting of the list, that part's done manually, but at least you have the segment and all the criteria responsible. So it's just pressing 1 or 2 buttons.
Got it. So I have another question here about what do you think about AMP email for e-commerce industry? Because everyone are talking about AMP email. So what is your thought on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are starting to talk about it, but I don't think a lot of people are actually leveraging it. I can't tell you
Correct.
if I've ever received an AMP email in my inbox. I think AMP is the future.
Yes, even we have covered this extensively in my previous workshop. I have received from bookings.com who sends a really nice AMP email where you don't want to go to the landing page and check whether a property is available or not, or so on and so forth. But how do you, so like reiterating the question would be something like, how do you see AMP effectiveness in e-commerce?
I mean, I think AMP is great, right? Again, I think a lot of people are starting to talk about it, but not a lot of people are actually doing it. I think there are some, I don't know if the right word is barriers, but there are some, you need to have some technical expertise to be able to get your domain configured and be able to get approved. Like, it's not as straightforward or easy. And I think there's going to be obviously some companies that probably introduce technology. I think there already are some that make it a little bit easier to facilitate, which will be great. But I think, well, I guess for one, AMP is accelerated mobile pages. It basically makes an email be able to interact much like a landing page, right? So you can scroll between products. You can do like a product carousel within an email where people can look at the product launch email and see 4 different shots of it. Or there might be something that's like content expand. So if you click on something, it might expand the content. So there's a lot of really cool things you could do. I think, the ability to like do those things plus the ability to check out within an email, right? Like a one click to purchase within an email. I think those things are going to be the future, right? If you can get people to transact and fill out a survey and do all these things directly within an email, it reduces the friction. People don't have to click through a website and then do this, that, and the other. So I think AMP is the future. I just haven't seen a lot of people leverage it yet today, but it's coming. It's just a matter of time.
Yes, we expect that. I think this would be the final question I would like to take. What do you think about iOS 15 update? Like, I think it's going to disable the email tracking. So how are we going to effectively measure the campaigns?
Yeah, when we're recording this, it's a little bit early to say. No one knows for sure. Like, I don't have the crystal ball, so I don't want to mislead people. It's definitely gonna, obviously, right, it's going to change things on Apple devices. We're going to lose the ability to see who actually is opening it, right? It's going to show us that everyone opened it, which obviously is not the case in reality, right? Maybe only 20, 30, 40% of those people are actually opening it. But now we're not going to be able to see who opened it. It's going to be masked. So obviously that in some ways presents some challenges. I think, as marketers and as folks, we're going to evolve. We're going to figure out ways to counteract it. We're going to figure, again, am I happy about it? No. Am I upset about it? No. It is what it is, and we have to move forward. We have to be looking at people that are active on our website. We have to be looking at people that are clicking emails. We have to be looking at people that are viewing products, adding to cart, starting to check out, making purchases, right? We have to be looking at all these other engagement metrics and behaviors on Apple devices. On non-Apple devices, at least for now, we'll still be able to do, business as usual, business as normal. And no one really knows for sure, on a given list, how many people are on Apple. It could be 30%, it could be 50%, it could be 70%, right? So also understanding like how many people on your particular brand are leveraging things on an Apple device or have an Apple email, I think is important. So I guess the short answer or the long-winded answer is like, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen yet. I don't think anyone really knows. I will definitely be creating some content when I figure out like what our playbook is. I'm not excited about it, but I'm not anti-against it. Email is a great channel. It's going to remain a great channel. The ability to communicate with people in a way that's one-to-one, but that's one-to-many is super important, right? You can basically send 1,000 people an email, but if you do it right, you can make each person feel like it's just for them. And that's not going to change, right? Just the ability to see who opened it is, which again, there's going to be pros and cons to that.
Got it. We are still getting a few questions, but we will get back to them one-on-one after the session. Thanks a lot, Chase. Thanks a lot for your time. That was a wonderful, insightful session, especially on the nitty-gritty and the impact of we can create to the customer via email marketing. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I don't know if I'm allowed to mention this, but like I have a Twitter. I share daily email marketing tips and tricks. My handle is Ecom Chase Diamond. So it's Diamond without the A. It's just DIMOND. So Ecom Chase Diamond. If anyone has any questions or wants to follow along and get more email marketing tips. So thank you guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.